Some of you are asking about the notes there with Cherry there. I just want to show you what is in that CD. In the CD, there are additional materials there. Remember, I told you I do this as a seminar. I talk about abuse first, and then I talk about neglect. So in that material there, that CD there are materials there about abuse and neglect. And then, all the things that I was talking to you about are there. So the damage of abortion, the core conflicts, they will all be there. No? You don't have to write your notes. And then this one is what I want you to know. Part of that material that you have, part of the material that if you get there, are 10 live options to abortion that Dr. Ney wrote about. I think it's very interesting for you to see this. So if you want to get that, that's available there. Ask Cherry at the back and handsome Lito. All right. All right, let's talk about post-abortion survivor. By the way, about that movie, what do you guys think? I think this was based from the book, a tiny book of Frank Peretti called Tilly. Ang hindi ko lang gusto doon sa film na yun is that the human live, the one alive is talking to a dead. That's the only thing I don't like there, but I think it's driving home a point. Notice that in her story, her symptoms arose lots of years later. And there's many PAS women and men like that. Out of the blue, they will just come to you and say they're depressed or whatever. No? I know that for a fact that one of the ladies I worked with, she had her abortion at 16 or I don't know, basta mga teenage siya, and she came to counseling at 45 years old because that's the only time she's coming face to face with the many things she did. So we looked at the post-abortion syndrome for women. We talked about post-abortion syndrome for men. No more questions? Tanong kayo minsan lang ako nandito. Alright, yes! Yes?
Legazpi City.
Okay.
I am a secondary school principal and I am with my husband. Okay. So, a while ago, during the talk of Mr. Gadsay, I remember I wrote there in my notes about 50 million abortion cases worldwide or annually is being recorded. I would like to know po if in the Philippines, if we have a research of how many instances annually of abortion in the Philippines.
Documented or undocumented?
Documented kasi research.
Wala po tayong documented.
Okay. So,
I'll ask Lily to answer that.
So, the only report that we have about abortion cases in the Philippines is 1 out of 4 pregnancies in Metro Manila. But in the provinces, it's 1 out of 6.
Okay. 1 out of 6.
1 out of 6.
So right. It's nice to note that it is not yet much rampant in the Philippines.
As I said,
it's increasing. The rate is increasing.
That is
80 million population ng Manila, di ba?
The 1 out of 4 is the reported or those coming from reports from the hospitals who have been admitted for incomplete abortions in the different hospitals in Metro Manila. But what we do not know are those happening, and I know it's happening. And a lot of our women already are abortion-minded.
Yes
Okay,
po.
so and they are not reported
Okay.
unless you talk to them.
Okay, yes po, okay. So
You should do a research. I challenge
based
you.
from your talk po on the post-abortion syndrome, parang kasi it is not very concrete looking at our women, the Filipino women, that they are much affected, if ever man, siguro because of the strengths of the Filipino characters that are very religious, and there's the joy and humor, and we have a very close family ties, that there are parents also, friends, parents, relatives who they can lean on, these women who are unlike to other countries na they are very independent, they do not would like to relate that to their friends. They do not have much the parents, the support of the parents.
Are you talking about post-abortion women?
Opo. Kasi ang nakikita ko po, parang hindi masyado ang if ever man may mga nag-abort, parang hindi masyado sa atin, sa Philippines, nakikita, kasi there are no newses, news. Unlike sa nakikita natin sa mga Discovery Channel, sa CI, Geographic channels, more on the nakikita talaga sa ibang countries, not like in the Philippines. Yan po ang ko.
Ang inyong haka-haka.
Yes, yeah, haka-haka and opinion and observation.
Mommy will want to answer your...
Pero sister, ang sabi nila, the only abortion pangalan nito, statistics that we have are those failed abortion na nakarating sa ospital dahil incomplete and they had to do DNC or infected abortions. So we do not know the number of how many have aborted who did not have any complications. Unlike sa iba, dahil approved ang abortion sa states, we have statistics because nasa ospital o nasa abortion center. On the other hand, marami tayong mga ina o ama na nambubugbog. Palagay mo kaya hindi resulta yon? Palagay mo kaya yung mga nag-a-abuse ng mga ibang tao, bata, matanda, nambubugbog? Hindi kaya sometimes baka yun ang sinasabi niya?
Unfortunately, yung culture po natin, we laugh about everything, don't we? We smile about everything. Nalulunod na sa ondoy. Naglalangoy pa ang mga bata in laughter. We have not been very observant. Naglipa na po ang syndrome na to, nakikita ko, maya't maya. If you have a clinical eye, sa doctors po, isang tingin nyo pa lang sa aso, alam ko na sakit. Tawa ka. Totoo yun. That's the same with medical professionals. That's what we call clinical eye because we are acquainted with those kinds. Now, it's a challenge for us because usually we, at least I speak for our culture, we refuse to see. It's too hard. It's too difficult. And can you write those? Yeah.
Kasi I would like also to suggest that in our seminars like this, especially in dealing with those teenagers and these mga nag-abort, that we have also to include our lack of self-analysis and self-reflection about what is happening to our lives.
Sure.
Kaya, yun lang po ang gusto ko.
Thank you.
Suggest.
One of the things we know as helpers is we cannot see in others what we don't see in ourselves. So dapat aware tayo sa sarili natin. Then we can better help people. And she brought up a subject which I think we should be bothered about. Why don't we see it? Maybe because of different things. We don't want to see it. We just don't know. Now that you're aware, your eyes and your ears will be more keen. Or there's people who refuse to know because it's just too difficult. But thank you for those points because it will be a challenge for us. if you want to be better helpers, you need to be more observant. Kasi, as in any counseling, they'll give you a little bit of information. And you're supposed to know already what my problem is. You know, if you don't pursue it, you won't see it. All right, we're talking about post-abortion survivors. These are children who survived an abortion. In our context, a survivor is anyone who did not die when chances of being killed were much higher than usual. So if you survived any situation na dapat maraming mamamatay pero nabuhay ka, survivor ka. Well, of course, you're very much more acquainted with the Holocaust survivors. That's what you call that, those people, no? But these are major, this surpasses any other Holocaust in our time. There are 10 different kinds of survivors, and I'll just go through this. I'll just show you 10 different kinds of post-abortion survivors. The first one is statistical survivors. These are people who survived in countries or cities where there is a statistically high probability that he or she would have been aborted. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina. Kung ikaw ay nabuhay sa mga countries na napakataas ang abortion, ano yon? China, ano pa? Russia, saan pa? US, Northern America, no? Canada, China, Northern America, Ukraine actually. Alam niyo bang wala nang bata sa Ukraine? Wala nang, the economy is dying because there's no more children. No next generation coming forth. Namamatay na lahat. Ano yung pangatlo? Ukraine. That's the statistical survivor, no? In other words, if you lived in China, you're statistically, you are a post-abortion survivor. Kasi lahat ng tao sa China, halos lahat ay nag-abort. Because it's imposed by the government. Do you know that the beggars that you will see in China are mostly the Christians who refuse to abort their children? I have a sister-in-law who lives in China, and we have missionaries in China. If you give birth to a second child, actually it's become a status quo. The richer people, the richest people can afford 2 or 3 because they pay the government to be able to keep the baby. I asked my sister-in-law recently, maybe last year, how much do you pay? Yung pala, it's about 400. Yung how much you're paid in your whole life. Halimbawa, 1 whole year, halimbawa 400 RMB, no? Tawag nila. Yun. However much that is, that's how much you will pay the government. Now, they've doubled it or tripled it if you have a second child. So that makes the people easier to abort. Kaysa magbayad sila, tapos pagka hindi sila nag-abort, the government will parang ostracize you. You will not be given government support or children. It's a tough place to be in if you're a Christian in China. Alright, so there's this kind of people are wanted survivors. There are millions of children who have survived a serious deliberation by their parents or physicians about whether they were wanted and therefore should live or unwanted and be aborted. Ibig sabihin, kung tayo mag-asawa, ikikip ba natin to? Wag na lang. Hindi, ikip na natin. Nagde-deliberate. Sige na, baka babae yan kung lalaki. Yeah. In the Chinese culture, they mostly abort the girls, right? That's why most of the orphanages in China, those who don't want to abort, they leave them in orphanages. So maraming babae. They're unwanted actually. The sibling survivors are survivors. Many children are born into families where one or more of their siblings were aborted. Threatened survivors. Kabagal naman na rin. Okay, itong threatened survivors, alam niyo yun sa mga TV show, di ba sinasabi nila, dapat, pinisil ko na lang yung ilong mo. Di ba? You hear that in that, dapat, ginananda lang daw nila yun so that you die. You think they're joking? I don't think so. These are threatened abortion. You've heard your parents shout, you'll never know what I had to put up with having you, and you do not appreciate all my effort. I could have aborted you. You hear those things, di ba? Those are threatened survivors. Then there are handicapped survivors. This is modern techniques now are able to see if the infant have defects. Alam mo, kalokohan yun eh. I'm sorry, but you know, they've used that to abort many children. And I have a friend in the States na sinabihan na siya na this will be defective and all those things. And I encourage her, it will still be healthy for you to deliver this child. And now it's a battle because this whole staff, you know, are telling her otherwise. But this is sad because maybe those people who discovered these modern techniques wanted it for something else. But we're using it to kill children. Ganun din yung sadness nung nag-discover ng Down syndrome. Because they know this Down syndrome baby, they kill this baby. So it's sad. It's a sad thing. Handicap. Then there are chance survivors. These are children who would have aborted if the mother had been able to obtain an abortion. Kaya lang wala siyang nabiling wala siyang perang pabiling. So, hindi niya na-abort. And then there's ambivalent survivors, children whose parents contemplated aborting them, but could not make up their minds until it was too late to do an abortion. Ibig sabihin, nagtatalo pa kami mag-asawa, and tagal-tagal mag-decide, too late na to abort. In the States, if you're 4 months pregnant a few times ago, bawal na. Ngayon yata hindi na, no? Any month will do. So, then there are twin survivors. Even when the most modern methods of locating and aborting a child are available, twins are sometimes missed by abortionists. Those who have survived the abortion of their twin feel a great deal of anger and grief. I've had a counselee who's like this. Actually, triplet pala siya. 2 brothers survived, but he felt that he should have had a sister. And then, true enough, later on during the counseling time, she found out that he did have an elder sister. Can you imagine? So, 3 pala, triplet dapat. Hindi nakita yung isa. Attempted murder survivors, gradually coming to light, are a number of people who have survived attempted murder in utero. Ito yung mga pangalandakan na wala nang na ina-abort na talaga pero nabuhay. Brief survivors, not infrequently an infant that is aborted in later months of pregnancy is born alive. Almost always, regardless of their viability, they are left to struggle alone and die on a counter or in a garbage can. So, ibig sabihin ito, inabort siya, pero paglabas, buhay pa. Pero because wala ngang iniiwan nga doon sa basura, ganon, namamatay din eventually, no? Alright, ang tanong sa akin ng isang tao kanina, sino ba yung tanong sa akin? How do kids know? Alam ba ng bata na sila ay post-abortion survivor? Halimbawa, how would the kids know? Do they know? Yes, they do. And these are some of the things that we've discovered. Children know by intuition. Wala lang, alam lang nila. They actually know they should have had a sibling. I'll tell you some stories later. Let me just run this through. And then children guess. Siguro meron akong kapatid. They question pseudo-secrets. Alam mo yung pseudo-secrets? These are secrets that are really not secrets. Because everybody knows, but nobody talks about it. For example, in your neighborhood, ay, alam mo yung si ano? Ganyan yan eh. Oo nga po, pero huwag kayo maingay ha. So, the whole community knows that this lady is like this, but nobody talks about it, pero secret. You understand what I'm saying? It's a false secret. It's supposed to be a secret, but it's not. So, the children, by intuition, they question. They want to know, no? They overhear stuff. For example, another factor would be they would hear questions. They indirectly probe, and they overhear stories. Halimbawa, nag-uusap yung nanay siguro sa kabilang kwarto. Sabi sa'yo, dapat in-abort na natin eh. They overhear this. Or in school, they talk about abortion. Then they question, ano kaya? Baka dapat in-abort din ako. So these are stuff they hear. Or they deduct from family difficulties. Kasi tinan mo, dapat dalawa lang anak natin, tinan mo naghihirap tayo. These are the things na parents actually blurt out. Then this is this is so kawawa. The children are told directly or asked to participate in an abortion decision. Excuse me. And I'll tell you a story later about this. Ibig sabihin, sila mismo, gusto mo ba may kaaway kasama ka sa kwarto? Di ba? Hindi. Ayaw ko po. They feel that they contributed to an abortion. Now this is a phenomena, of course, we cannot prove, but there are many instances, stories told, that they actually hear, they have imaginary playmates. Little spirits seem to speak to these children. All right, in Hope Alive, what we do is we ask we ask the counselees to draw a picture of the childhood they should have had, and then the childhood they actually have. This is not an isolated case. Many of my counselees, the first one above, this is a drawing by a French woman. Sa taas, yun ang family that she should have had. She should have had two other siblings. Ilan na lang sila ngayon? 4 na lang, no? 2 lang sila. And then she continued to draw that this is the childhood she should have had. Her childhood should have been that she has playmates and she has people in the swing with, those stuff. And then now, the one below is a seesaw na mag-isa lang siya. That's the childhood she actually had. Interesting, no? Lumalabas yan sa mga drawings nila. Hindi yan fabricated, ha? We ask them to draw the way they just think. And sometimes they don't realize it. Di ba, Lily? Sometimes but anim yung ginawa kong bata dyan. And they don't realize it until we point it out. But these are in their subconscious. And then there are some people, this is a drawing by another European lady. Actually, yung dark shading na yan, red yan. And she drew this is the childhood she actually had, I think. Yang hook na yan, siya daw yan. Siya daw yung picture na yan. Tapos yung shading na yun, red yan. Tapos may hook siyang ganyan. This is the one I was talking to you about children being asked to participate in abortion. This is a person, European lady also. My life stopped when I was 10. My mother came and woke me up one morning at 6. She said, "Do you want a little sister? We won't have time for you anymore. You would have to share your room with her, and we would not be able to go on holidays with you. I answered what she wanted to hear. I was half asleep. She was in a hurry. My father was in the car, waiting to drive her to the hospital for her abortion. She left and my life stopped. I knew what I had done. Isn't that evil, no? So this lady grew up and matured having this guilt that she was part of not having another sibling. Kasi dahil sa kanya hindi siya na. And these are some other pictures that some of our counselees draw. Usually a post-abortion survivor would have no katawan, no body. When they draw about themselves, they draw a picture of themselves, walang katawan. Usually there's no face or walang limbs. No? Alright, in many of our surveys, these are the most prominent PASS symptoms. They usually don't feel, I feel I do not deserve to be alive. That's existential guilt. I am not glad to be alive. I feel something terrible is going to happen to me. Parang they're prophet of doom. They always feel that something bad's gonna happen. Or self-destructive. I have tried to kill myself. I fear I'm losing my mind. I have injured myself. I feel sad. I'm not pleased with who I am. I have feelings that things are unreal. I'm bothered by the thoughts I cannot control. And I'll talk about this more later. Just wanted to say that. Alright, when you talk about survivor guilt, na-notice niyo sa mga stories ng mga people who come out of Holocaust, do you actually think that those kids who came out of Holocaust feel happy that they lived? No. Their question is always, why did I not die with my family? And it's the same way with post-abortion survivors. They always have this question, actually I should be grateful I'm alive, but I should not have lived when others died. I experience guilt because I feel I contributed in some way to the decision to terminate them. I'll just run through these conflicts, no? Existential anxiety, I do not deserve to be alive. This is, makikita mo yan sa maraming tao. Itong anxious attachment, ewan ko kung na-observe nyo na maraming mga bata ngayon, iyaking-iyakin. Yung ayaw mahihiwalay sa anak, sa nanay. Tapos pag nandyan ang nanay, iyak ng iyak. Kaya cycle yun. It's an anxious attachment. The post-abortion survivor is saying, I want to be close to my parents, but it does not feel right. The closer I get, the worse I feel. So may ambivalence sa puso niya, being next to the mom. Pseudo secrets. I desperately need to know what you did to my unborn brother or sister, but I am afraid to ask. One of the women I work with, sa artists, who has had an abortion, I've been talking to her about how to get to be helped, and she wouldn't want counseling because she's an artist, and endorsements are at stake. You know, her face is at stake. But she knows about all these syndromes. One day, I was telling her about her kids, because her concern was her kids. One day, her eldest daughter, out of the blue, said, "Mommy, how many pregnancies did you have?" Notice she did not ask, how many children did you have? This is like 13-year-old daughter. "Mommy, how many pregnancies did you have?" At the time, she was wanting to be, honest with her children already. So she said, I should have had this number. Halimbawa, 3. There are only 2. And then the daughter said, "What happened?" Then she had to say, "Who knows about it, Tita Orpa?" So these kids, they know. They know. And then you know what she said? "That's why pala." And this is interesting because there's a rest in their soul when they learn that about the abortion. It confirms many of the things that they are feeling, many of the things that they are hypothesizing. So there's a rest in these people's souls when they realize their suspicion was correct, that my parents did an abortion. All right? Pseudo secrets, and then distrust of parents, parental authority. I want a committed relationship with people, but I do not know who I can trust. Then there's the reverse of that is apathy. Ayoko na lang. I will not move. I will not do anything. Right? Because they don't trust. Abortion is terrible. Somebody should do something to stop it. But what can an individual do? Now this is amazing repercussion, this distrust. Why? If they do not trust anyone, in summary, abortion survivors do not trust God because He did not intervene to protect His siblings. Now they are angry at Him and do not want to get to know Him. They're also angry at my parents. How can you say you love me when you killed my sibling? How can I trust you? Are you also going to kill me? So do you see the huge conflict in their brain? And then, they do not trust, if they do not trust God, they do not trust their parents, how can they trust authorities? How can they trust the police, the government? You are a president? I don't care. So, and we label them just pasaway. Right? Bakit ang dami-daming pasaway? These are things we don't think about. No? We don't think about it. Then they don't trust themselves too. So how can I trust God? How can I trust you? I don't even trust myself. Right? They do not trust themselves and they do not want to become parents. If they do become parents, they distrust their parenting ability and to intend to quickly put their children in the care of somebody else. Now, this daycare sa atin, hindi masyadong damaging ang daycare phenomena sa atin as it has been in UK or in the British culture. I just found out from my Hope Alive colleagues that in UK or some other British how do you say, inspired countries, Commonwealth countries, napakarami yung daycare or ang tawag dun? Basta alam niyo na yan. Basta hindi. These are the kids that are brought to a certain place and they're left there for months and months. Anong tawag dun? Boarding school. Boarding school. Boarding schools are how these kids are majorly damaged. Kasi maraming boarding school daw noon sa Britain, kasi yung isa kong Hope Alive colleague, product siya ng damage ng boarding schools. There's also a lady from Nigeria who was also in boarding schools, and they're left so damaged in their person because of the huge abuse and neglect of children. And that's why many of them have had abortions too. And then they do not trust important concepts. Ay, nasan ako? Ay, nawala na ako. Love, parent, they don't understand that. Knowing that their siblings were not protected but aborted, often out of love, children do not trust the idea of love. Isn't that amazing? Alright, and then they have conflicts, they have poor relationships. My parents did not care for me, why should I care about them? Kaya, that is why there is a major problem with euthanasia. Connected yan sa abortion. Because you are dehumanized, when they aborted your sibling, they dehumanize your sibling. So you don't trust your parents. So why will you take care of them when they're old? That's why euthanasia is very convenient, no? Patay na lang kita kasi pinatay mo rin naman ang aking mga kapatid. They don't say that, but that's what's in their brain. Poor health. I have never liked my body. There has always been a struggle with my weight, and I really don't trust any of my appetites. No inherent worth. Now this, okay, I never did like. They are not very intelligent. I don't really care if they kill themselves off. There isn't enough room for all of us now. So, wala silang worth for other people, wala silang worth for themselves. Yung mga taong ganito, may mga, I'll show you some pictures later. Apart from the fact that they don't feel that they're worthy individuals, they doubt themselves, you know. I want to live a spontaneous, natural life, but whenever I try to, my impulses lead me to all sorts of trouble. Kawawa naman, no? I hope you're bothered about all these things that you're seeing. These are the people who you're actually around. Products of abortion around your community, mga anak-anak ng mga anak nyo or mga kapitbahay nyo. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, in drawing in many of my counseling, many of the post-abortion survivor syndrome people, when they draw themselves, walang full person. There's no face, no? It's just symbols. Sometimes if they have a face, there's no limb. It's an interesting thing. Then ontological, ano yung, alam niyo yung ontological? Formational guilt. They don't develop themselves. I know I am talented and have lots of opportunities. I could have a good future, but I can't seem to get my act into gear. You've seen these kids, di ba? Highly talented kids. Walang na-accomplish. Bakit? Dapat i-trace nyo. I know I have an uncle like that. I have an uncle. My grandmother had 8 children. And he's about 7 or 6 or 7. Now that I know all these things, kasi siya lang, he's the only one who is pasaway, who never amounted to anything. He was a drunk, all of the above. And now that I'm learning this, I wondered if my grandmother really tried to abort him. Because I remember her story that my grandmother, when she found out she was pregnant, she would bunot the floor until she was so tired and almost dying, and hoping that this baby will abort maybe. So that man lived and wasted his life. He's dead now, but now that I know all these things, I wonder. PASS, people dislike children. They're actually afraid of them. Abortion survivors tend to be unsure of their identity and existence, therefore they are threatened by children. Sibling seeking. PASS attempting to live a life for their dead sibling may deny their own identity. If he was a boy sibling, a girl may feel she has to deny a feminine identity. I have a story with this. Dr. Ney had a counselee. That he was a man, handsome man. He has a wife, 2 children, very rich. One day, he decides he's a woman. Left his wife, left his children, dressed up as a woman, and married a man. Man, no? So he's now a girl married to a man. I think this went on for a long time, and then finally he is now confused. He doesn't know what to do. All the other psychiatrists don't know what to do with him. He was sent to Dr. Ney. Ganun si Dr. Ney eh. Lahat ng mga wala nang magawang psychiatrist dinadala sa kanya. Because all the psychiatrists in Northern America will only give them drugs, no, to suppress antidepressants. But you see, antidepressants will all the more make them depressed, because we're depressed because you don't grieve well. So if you don't grieve well, you're more depressed. So when they're in the worst state na, they bring them to Dr. Ney. And then we tell them to get off the drugs, because we don't do Hope Alive with people who are under drugs. Because if you're under drugs, you cannot grieve. You can't feel. But we want you to be in tune with your emotions. So maraming galit kay Dr. Nay kasi, lalo na yung mga insurance, galit sa kanya kasi matagal yung process. Ibang psychiatrists will only give money. Okay, what was I talking about? So this man who's now a woman, who's now confused that he's a woman, finally went to the Hope Alive. In the process of the counseling, he realized that he was a twin. And what was the twin? A girl. And this is not an isolated case. I've seen this also with one person here in the Philippines and one in Thailand. So these are interesting phenomena that we don't think about, no? So yung post-abortion PASS person na yon, he is trying to live a life for another person na hindi niya naiintindihan, no? Tapos yung isang sinasabi ko sa inyo na taga Thailand na pagkagwapo-gwapo, single pa rin. Pero ang kilala mo siya, he cannot sustain a relationship. You know why? Because when he has a girlfriend, and when he's so close to that girlfriend, he is parang, how do you say, he doesn't feel good that he's going to make out with his girlfriend. Maybe you know why? Because he thinks that he's a sister. Parang incestuous sa kanya yon. Then she leaves this girlfriend and goes to another girlfriend. And whenever they're closest na, he leaves the girlfriend. Isn't that interesting? Because he will always look for a sibling in a girlfriend. When he discovered that in the mountain, sabi ni Dr. Nay, oh, now you know you marry. So, but it's a hard thing to process. But now he understands why he's like that. All right, distorted identity, PASS attempting to live a life for their dead sibling. Yeah, I told you that already. Ito, you know about Harry Potter, right? The wife of Dr. Nay wrote a book in response to Harry Potter. Yung sinasabi ko sa inyong friend ko na 8 ang inabort, 13 ang inabort. When Harry Potter came out, sabi niya sa akin, she told me in my face, Orpa, that is my story. Because, again, no, the dynamics of neglect, abortion, abuse. She was majorly neglected and majorly abused, so she's had all these abortions. Now, when she was neglected, she went into the occult. She became a witch, a white witch here in the Philippines. I don't know if it's white or black or whatever, but so they're all witch. She was a major witch. I'm telling you, she could read out the leaves. That's how powerful she was. And she's become a Christian now. When you see her, she's so funny, but it's real for her. That's why she's not surprised by that Harry Potter. And Mrs. Nay, Marie Nay, connects that with abortion survivors. Confused identity. You will not be surprised if they become gay also. Rage, you know this already. Risk-taking. Ito pala, oops. Yung risk-taking, abortion survivors are afraid of death. So they're not suicidal, huh? But they risk death. They fear dying, but they risk dying. That's why these are the people who bungee jump, who are extreme sportists, right? They will crash into cars and they wonder why they're still not dead. That's what, yun yung phenomena nila. So the major conflicts of PASS are conflicts about intrinsic right to exist, conflicts with attachments, inability to trust, and anger majorly. Huh? Summary lang yan. Alright, how does this interfere with their knowing God? Do I have enough time? PASS are skeptical about love and fatherhood. You know that already because they distrust the parents. No? Then they feel that love does not exist. Is it just me or is it really hot? Mainit ba talaga? Okay. So they feel that love does not exist. And then this is interesting. They have a difficulty seeing God as a loving Father. Sorry to distract you about the... Sige, I will leave that to Anna. Then they cannot relate to a helpless Christ on the cross. You cannot share the gospel to PASS and show them the passion of the Christ. Na bloodied and torn to pieces. They cannot fathom the fact that somebody is torn to pieces so that they will live. You see that? Survivor nga sila ng tearing to pieces eh. Paano niya ma-accept na si Kristo namatay na ganon? So when you share to PASS people about the love of God, it's got to be some other way. Not that way. Not the passion of the Christ. And then they have difficulty reaching out to God in a trusting way. Baka redundant lang to. They avoid acknowledging people as parents and have difficulty seeing God as a loving father. Knowing sibling died instead of them, abortion survivors are often repelled by the idea of a son of God dying for them. Isn't that interesting? Oo nga naman, kasi survivor na sila nang namatay na isa para mabuhay sila. Paano nila ma-appreciate na si Kristo ay namatay para sa atin, para tayo mabuhay? Huh? So if there's got to be a different way of sharing the gospel to these people. Uy, umikot. But there is there is hope. Amen? Isn't this amazing? You and I have the capacity to give hope to these people. If you are like me, I'm tired of what I'm talking about. I'm tired talking about these kinds of people, but these are what is reality. But if we know Jesus Christ as our personal Savior and Lord, and if we have a personal relationship with Him, we are the most powerful people who can offer hope to these people. Kaya tayo nandito, no? So what is our role? And this is my favorite verse. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, because the Lord has appointed us to bring good news to the poor. He has sent us to comfort the brokenhearted, to announce that captives will be set free. Of course, this refers to Jesus, but we can claim it ourselves. You and I are the best set of therapists. Bakit? Christians should be the best scientists and therapists because there are no questions that we are afraid to ask. Kung anak kayo ng Diyos, kung si Kristo ay nasa puso ninyo, wala kayong katatakutan na itanong kahit kaninong counselee, di ba? There is no truth that is too embarrassing or uncomfortable. At best, we are all sinners saved by grace. Isn't that amazing? Kaya I enjoy counseling eh. It must be a distorted thing. But no, however difficult it is, by the end of the counseling, I praise God for the change life in front of me. I have no illusion that I'm causing the change. My role is, as a counselor, our role is to just put the piece of the puzzle next to the one we're counseling. Pero siya ang magsusuksok nun. He will be the one who put it in the hole, not us. It'll be between him and God, isn't it? But we are instruments of just nudging the person into the direction that he will see the truth, right? He will see the light. That's our role. And you and I should have no illusion at all that we will take any credit for any life change. I do not want to be a guru when I have counseling. Neither does any of my colleagues. We need to give back all the glory. Of course, I always appreciate, after a counseling group, I always tell my counselees, write a note to Dr. Name. Just tell him how you appreciate his module. But don't worship and bow down to him because he's not God. Neither are we, right? You are to be better scientists and therapists and helpers because you do not need to be afraid to face human chaos. Knowing God means that there is always an ultimate answer, even if the present ones do not seem to make sense. There is no chance They will have to deal with the deep anxiety that springs from realizing parents, scientists, teachers do not know answers to the ultimate questions. So, okay lang na sagutin natin sila, I don't know. That's okay. We will not die. We don't need to know every answer. Because truth is self-revealing, they are not afraid of distorting observations by observing. We need to be good observers all the time, you and I. They do not need to be so anxious in collecting and analyzing data as long as they are prepared to accept corrections. Diretso ko na ha. But you get my point, no? That you and I are better therapists because we are designed by God and we have the truth if you know God personally. Now, let me tell you about what I do. What I do is called Hope Alive Group Counseling. I do not do one-on-one. I only do group counseling, meaning I have a minimum of four to about 5 or 6 the most in my group. I lead a counseling group with a facilitator. I've had Lily, I've had Ting. I want all those who were trained by Hope Alive to please stand up. Ting is here now. Reverend Ting there. We've trained him. Carol has been trained with Hope Alive. Thank you very much. These guys were trained. We trained people for a week. Hope Alive is designed to be 32 sessions. Yan, madugo siya ha. It's not light counseling. That's why I do this eh. It's not light. But they get to the roots of the problems. In fact, I discourage the counseling. Talaga bang gusto mo mag-counseling? Mahirap to. Huwag ka na lang pumunta kung hindi ka sigurado. If you don't want healing, if you're not desperate for healing, I don't accept them. I only accept people who are desperate for healing. You know why? Why? Because you're only going to waste your time. If they're not convinced they need help. Right? Kung kukonvinsin pa kita na kailangan mo ng help, ay huwag na lang tayo mag-usap. But I love those people who come to me and say, Orpa, I need help. I like those people. All right. So Hope Alive is 32 sessions. It's 2 hours per session every week. So it runs, if I do twice a week, we run for about 3.5 months. I usually do 2 groups at every quarter. In fact, I'll be accepting referrals. I need to start a group. I just want to run through with you some of the phases of treatment so that you'll understand, no? Well, Hope Alive started in Canada. They mostly trained Europeans since 1996 yata or 95. So I was the first Asian they trained. So by default, they trained me again for supervisor and trainer. But we've had 3 trainings here in Manila already. So I'm still waiting for Ting and Lily to finish their exams. She's done. All right. Okay, the first part of Hope Alive is commitment. We commit to each other, commitment to confidentiality, commitment that you'll come on time. I'm big about time. If you will come on the first session, I need to see you on the last session. Kasi, ibig sabihin, you cannot just say, I don't like anymore, it's so hard. So it's like you opened your cavity and operated on you and then you jump out the surgical table. You can't do that. You gotta wait till it's finished because it's difficult. It's very hard. We commit to honesty, whatever else. No? Mga 11 yan siguro. Then part 2, we talk about realizing mistreatment. We ask them to go back to their history, family, what has happened to them on the first 17 years of their life, good and bad. Whatever happened to you in the first 17 years of your life has a direct connection to what is your relationship with your present husband or wife now. And then we talk about the damages of your neglect, damage of your abuse, damage of if you have had pregnancy losses. When I say pregnancy losses, hindi lang abortion, we also have miscarriages, no? And then we talk about anger. We teach them skills on how to deal with rage, How do you deal with anger? We teach them how to be assertive, no? We help them trace what are the triggers to your anger. So you can just imagine the up and down emotion of these counselees. Then we help them deal with their guilt. If you're a post-abortion woman, this is a big phase that they go through. And we help them assess how much of the guilt should actually be owned by them. Usually kasi, ang post-abortion woman will say, I'm 100% guilty. Sasabihin natin sa aming counseling, sasabihin namin, teka muna, meron kang partner, meron kang abortionist, meron kang nurse, meron kang friend na nagdala sa'yo sa abortion clinic, meron kang friend na nag-convince sa'yo, magpa-abort ka na lang, meron kang drug pusher na nagbigay sa'yo ng, you understand what I'm saying? So there are people who contributed to a tragedy. How much was your own contribution to this tragedy? So sabihin niya, sige, mga 30% lang. Sige, akuin mo yan 30%. Wag 100%. Or, on the converse side naman, there are women who say, I have no guilt at all. That rapist is 100% guilty of the crime. And then we tell them, teka muna. Nagpunta ka doon, mababa ang nandun ang waiter, nandun ang binigyan ka ng, meron kang friend na nagbigay sa'yo ng roofies, meron kang friend na nagpainom sa'yo, sumakay ka sa tricycle, nagpunta ka doon willingly. So how much did you contribute to this rape? And then they'll realize, sige, meron 20%. You understand? So this is a phase that helps the person take as whatever is appropriate guilt. And then because of your abuse and neglect, people don't really know who they are anymore. They present to people faces. Nicey, or parating tawa ng tawa si kuya. Yung isa naman, parating, ay kawawa naman ako, parating ako may sakit. Hindi ako pupunta, may sakit ako eh. The pitiful face or the happy face. But both faces want attention. And most of the time, because these are the ones they present to people, they don't know who's the authentic person inside. In Hope Alive, we help them understand who the authentic person is behind those masks. And then, there's the phase that we go through realizing what their losses are. We help them grieve. Ito, madugutong part na to. So they grieve over many losses of their lives. They grieve over the childhood they should have had, the family they should have had, the person they should have become that they will never become. See, a big chunk of Hope Alive is on grieving. And once they've grieved well, once they've discovered who they are, then they are ready to reconcile with these people who have hurt them, whom they have hurt, and who did not do anything while they were hurt. Observers, no? And then we ask them to reconsider relationships. Kasi throughout the whole Hope Alive, we tell them they cannot have major decisions. If they have a boyfriend, they cannot marry them for 3.5 months. If you want to leave your husband, you cannot leave them muna. Stay there until after Hope Alive. Then after Hope Alive, we ask them, sige nga, isipin natin, are you gonna leave your boyfriend na? Or your husband na? Or stay? Are you going to marry this man or stay? Am I going to change career or stay? We help them make decisions as an authentic person already. All right? And then, rehabilitation, we rejoice over their good work. We say goodbye, and we give them homeworks and projects for the next. After the 30th session, we have a break for 3 months, and we meet again 31st, and another 3 months for the 32nd. So all in all, that's the whole big picture of Hope Alive. Needless to say, it's a difficult thing, isn't it? Madugo. But I want to share to you that Dr. Ney has written the results of group psychotherapy for neglect and pregnancy loss. This is published in Current Women's Health Reviews. You can look this up in PubMed, and it will show you the actual statistics study of the effect of Hope Alive. And as you will see, that it has improved in relationships, it has improved in many things, but what it is not saying though is it's not really the best counseling for like obsessions maybe, or ano nga yung mga OC, compulsions, yung ganyan. So you may wanna, in your notes, if you get it, or here you can take my name. I am still receiving referrals. I do not take walk-ins. We take referrals. It's a referral counseling. So if you have men, women, I always make sure I have a man in my group. Kung walang counselee na man, ini-invite ko si Ting, or there are other men who are, who dapat kasi may lalaki. Beautiful yung dynamics if there's a man. So these are my numbers. You can refer some men or women to me. Now I want you to know that there are counseling trainings that will happen. There is one in March, Lily, in Victoria, Canada. I want you to see the mountain of Dr. Nay. If you can go to Canada, go. That will be in March and then in August. And then there will be one in Chiang Mai. It's September 30 to October 6. And then our annual Hope Alive conference will be in the next week after that, 7 to 13. So please take this down. So if you're interested to be trained to be a good counselor of post-abortion, apply with me or with Dr. Nay. That is Hope Alive. All right? All right, now I'm ready for your, thank you.
For the post-abortive syndrome and the PASS, actually the question is the same. Can these symptoms also manifest for miscarriage cases?
Good question. I failed to say that. Yes, but unlike abortion, for example, in the grieving, miscarriages are able to grieve. Di ba? Merong time to have a symbolic burial of the baby or something. In abortion, there's none. There are very many similar symptoms, but in terms of the physiologic syndrome, yung they don't take care of themselves, there's a depression part. Marami pong similar. Yes. Yes. The same din po sa pregnancy loss baby. Ibig sabihin, if the survivor was only a pregnancy loss, miscarriage survivor, hindi siya abortion survivor, pero miscarriage survivor, meron din siyang symptoms ng parang PASS. Miscarriage po. Pregnancy loss syndrome. Ang tawag natin sa miscarriage is pregnancy loss syndrome. That's our term. And the PAS is post-abortion syndrome.
How about those developed in the Petri dish? Yes, multiple, are they considered twins, triplets, or whatever? Thank you.
Naintindihan niyo po ang question niya? Yung in vitro fertilization. Ano po ang pagkakaintindi natin yan? Sa ating nakakaalam, simple lang. Maybe Jorel can answer a few, but this is how I will answer it. When they do in vitro fertilization, di ho ba, they gather enough eggs and they gather enough sperms. Tell me if I'm saying this correct. So their hope is to fertilize as many eggs from the different sperms, hindi ho ba? Kung merong mga ready na eggs. So there will be, for example, if there are 10 eggs that were fertilized, the people will choose. Ano po ang healthiest? They will choose 2 or 3. What will they do with the 7? Freeze or throw away?
Usually they take about 7 or 8 fertilized ova, and then they plant at least 3 or 4, because usually the embryo can die inside, and there may be 2 or 3 that will live. If all the 4 live, they can even choose to have, they abort one inside. I mean, they pull out one of the embryos, and then the rest they do cryo freezing. So in case the 2 did not live, because the rate of success is about 25% only, so then they can get another 2 or 3 from the other embryo that were frozen. But they live for years. So if they want to have a second pregnancy 3-4 years later, they will get the other embryo. But if they don't need it anymore, that's the problem. They have to kill it.
Well, I see the problem from the start. Because, unang-una, wanted child na agad yung mapipili. Wanted syndrome na siya. Ibig sabihin, she's being chosen. Yung iba will be left to die. These people that are chosen or actually live, they have major PASS syndromes. Why do you think so? Because they're human beings already. Hatch na yan, nagdi-divide na yung cells nun. Blastomere, di ba? Blastocyst ba? Okay, now, kaya controversial yung mga stem cell, because that's where they get it. Oh, di ba you're using the human, Ano yung tanong nga?
Are they twins? Because the one who survived...
Ay, hindi po. There's different sperms, yeah.
Develop a syndrome when...
Yes, majorly po. I believe so. What do you guys think?
The one who was chosen to survive.
Yes. They have the same PASS syndrome. Tsaka can you imagine? Kawawa. Any other questions? You guys are all tired now. Yes, there's one there. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2, and then we can all sleep.
While she's coming here, I'd like to say that the floor is now open to questions, starting with Jorel's presentation this morning or with the lab approach. You can ask your questions. This is now the time for open forum.
Good evening. There was an earlier question about the man who did not know that the partner had an abortion. And then my question now is, how about those women who have used pills and IUDs and have not realized that they are really abortifacients? Or another, in some women who later on realize that those contraceptions are really abortifacients, then do they still have this PAS?
I will only speak for what I have seen. With the 22 groups that I've had, there have been maybe 5 women who have known for a fact that when they had pills, they knew they had abortion. 1 or 2. So during the time that we would have an exercise where we will envision how many children they should have had, they see and count those. So hindi ko alam how you answer that question. But in answer to that, in my experience, yes, they do have the PAS syndrome. According to what I've seen. Yes, sir.
We also heard you said this morning, excuse me, Ton, that the PAS is mostly experienced with the older pregnancies, not with the initial,
No, I said more overt ang signs, those who are advanced
More
in the
advanced
pregnancies.
pregnancies.
But the ones, that's her question here, somewhere here. The ones who are probably pills, they later see it later.
They also have an experience, but not as much as those who
Not
have.
overtly.
Yeah.
Not quickly. Yes, please.
Well, in countries where birth control has been routine for years, these people think what they're doing is okay. So there's no guilt. There's no guilt because that's accepted. It's like it's okay to have beer when you're 16 or 18. Okay, so there's no guilt. So birth control in whatever kind, they don't consider as abortifacient because that's that. It's only recently with the IUDs, it's for sure, it's abortifacient because after you get pregnant, you can lose that pregnancy because the embryo cannot implant properly. It can grow to about a few weeks and then it will die out. But I do have one patient with an IUD who went to term, but others usually by the 5th month they abort. So I think for those people who live in places where birth control is accepted and is almost routine, there will be no guilt. But for us, maybe because it's not accepted here or it's not.
Yeah.
Do you find guilt for the patients?
May I answer that? Siguro po the term would be seemingly they don't see guilt. But I believe we were designed by God to experience that somewhere, sometime in our timeline. And I think God has a way to expose it to them in one way. Ano po? May tanong dito. Kailan daw po nag-start yung in vitro? 20 years ago.
Siguro yung mga successful na pregnancies na 20 years old na yan.
About late teens.
Have you met one?
No, sir. I would love to. You know anyone? No, na adults na po ngayon?
I was in practice in the States for 30 years.
No, here in the Philippines.
I'm talking around.
Okay, not here, but in the States. Yung mga anak ni Sharon, in vitro.
I would like to request you to clarify or explain further yung sinabi niyong mga children that are in boarding school, the problems that they have or they will manifest later.
The problem with boarding school is major neglect of the parents. In other words, instead of these children living with their parents, they drop their children in a boarding school and leave this to the boarding master who take care of them. But in the stories that I hear, maybe more before, no? Alam niyo yung story ng Oliver Twist? Ganun yun di ba? Yung mga orphanages, boarding schools, that's set up for more abuse. Again, no? The more neglected you are, the more prone ka sa abuse. Bakit ko mo kinakwento yun kanina? I was saying that because I have a colleague that most of her problems stemmed from the fact that she's a product of a boarding school. And because she was neglected, she was abused, and she has had 2 abortions as a result. Again, I was going back to the cycle of neglect and abuse I was talking about. Yun po ang context ng sinasabi ko. So, hindi ko na maalala kung bakit ko sinasabi yung boarding school. Did I answer your question? What about the man? It's the same banana cue. Do you know that, guys, don't be naive, huh? The perpetrators now don't target your young girls anymore. Do you know that? They target the young boys. Anal sex. Why? No pregnancies. They don't go after. I know a family who's taking so much care of their baby girl. Sino ang na-rape? Ang kanilang boy. Lalo na naglipa na ang gay community. Hindi na sila after the girls. After sila sa boys. And that's why there's more gay boys now. Lalo na dahil sa nakikita nila sa TV natin. So ano ba? Tama na. Ano pa? May tanong pa? Uwi na ako. May tanong pa kayo? Ay, Mami! Sorry.
How can you use the love approach if I'm not talking of if the client wants to have a pregnancy but she tested negative, and this is, I'm not talking of yung usual client na single siya, but rather she's married and she wants to have a pregnancy but she's so depressed because she cannot have a pregnancy, mga ganon. So how can we use the love approach to counsel people like this?
Maybe, who would like to answer? Si Carol? Mami na lang.
First, usually women in those cases do not go to the pregnancy crisis center. Yeah, they seek the help of an OB-GYN or a fertility expert. No?
Or we teach natural family planning.
Yeah.
Billings ovulation method.
But if
kasi I'm with Couples for Christ, and we have right now we're handling young couples who have these cases. Yung gustong-gusto na nilang magkaanak pero hindi sila magkaanak, and yes, they've undergone through the OB, yung mga ganon, and they've suffered miscarriages also, nakabuo tapos nagkaka-miscarriage, yung mga ganon, and then they become frustrated already because hindi sila makabuo. Yun. Maybe
if that is the case, the first thing that I would do is to journey with her, no, in sa healing, because she has been affected by her miscarriage. Maybe that's one of the reasons why she also had difficulty because of the trauma of losing a child. So I would journey with her and help her heal the wounds of past pregnancy loss. That's how I would deal with her. And then if she's ready, and that's the time that I again encourage her and teach her how to balik sa back billings or NFP, to teach her about how to achieve a baby, to help to assist them. But tomorrow we will be discussing the approach. Okay. So, but she has to go through because there has been, as you mentioned, there has been a pregnancy loss. So she has to go through with that kind of phase and grieve and whatever.
Yeah. And on her question whether the love approach can be used, a negative test client, pwede, isn't it? It's a counseling approach which you can use for pregnancy, I believe so, isn't it?
Yeah, the love
because
approach
the approach is listen and learn, open options, value and vision, and then enable and empower. It's just that for the options, we can offer natural family planning. and teach them natural family planning and support them, follow up until they achieve. Because we also have an experience with BOM that it's 99% effective in achieving pregnancy, not only postponing. Yeah.
Okay. So remember that the love approach is an approach on how to counsel women, and of any case. That is the approach that we will listen and learn, we open options, we share value and vision, and then we enable and equip. That's the basic. And then after you find out everything about the client, and then both of you will look for plan on what to do or how to act on the problem that has been, or the issue that has been came out of the session. So if it was a positive, then you can have parenting or parenting with marriage, solo parenting, and adoption. But for negative, we introduce sexual integrity. But for your case, we encourage her to go through heart, probably, and heal first. Okay? Thank you.
Pregnancy. Pwede bang may tendency na magkaroon ng PAS?
I think they belong to the pregnancy loss syndrome. Kasi nag-grieve pa rin siya. Opo. Ibig sabihin, the difference lies on the intention to kill. Ang ectopic pregnancy, hindi mo naman gustong mamatay, di ba? In contrast to an abortion, they intended for the termination of the pregnancy of the baby. So ang syndrome po niya may be the pregnancy loss syndrome.
And how to approach how to use the love approach. Well, in my experience as a counselor and in my training in CEFAM, we usually use the psychospiritual approach. We have different approaches in counseling, the rational emotive, the eclectic, and different approaches. But from the CEFAM point of view, the psychospiritual is what we use also in children. That is, if we rule out all the physical reasons or the physiological or scientific reasons for failing to have pregnancy. For instance, I have a son who's been married for 3 years. They have adopted 2 children, and all the while we thought that it was all right, that they were happy because they looked happy as a family. But then one day he confided to me that despite all this, he is not really happy because what he feels is that he's not that good enough. Maybe he has done something wrong, that is the reason why God is punishing them, and he doesn't know really what wrong is, what crime he has done. And so that is where I use the psychospiritual, because in a counseling session, you have the counselor, the counselee, and God between you. Parang marriage relationship then. There's always God between you. And that is when you will, the counselor should inject the spirituality, no? Like I told him, so what do you think about that? How do you see that? And then he told me, siguro hindi ako ganun kamahal ng Diyos, hindi katulad ng mga kapatid ko na may anak. Sabi ko, hindi tama yan. You know that God loves you. So, doon mo dadalhin yung, so why do you think, para sa iyo ba, ano ba yung pagkakaroon ng anak? And then he said, parang complete. And then I told him, so you mean hindi ka complete pag walang anak? Yun ba ang reason bakit that's one of the reasons why you two married, but it's not the primary reason. You two got married because you love each other. And yung anak, hindi naman parating ano yan nanggagaling sa'yo, kundi yun ay binibigay sa'yo. And there are many ways by which God. So I use there is the psycho-spiritual approach. And that, for me, that is one way of telling him na God loves you despite this, or in spite of and besides, sabi ko, hindi pa naman natin narurule out yung it's not yet a helpless case. Sabi niya, helpless na ako, yung hopeless na rin daw siya. Sabi ko, yan ang mali. So that's what I mean by yung the love of God you inject in the counseling session. I think that's my own. I don't know if it is right.
I got married, I was told I would have difficulty conceiving because I have polycystic ovaries. But I got married on January 7, 2006, and our first child, our son, Timothy, was born on October 10, 2006. So it's really God's timing. My sister, after 10 years of waiting and giving up on getting pregnant after all the fertility workups and everything, after going to St. Pius Center here in Libis and praying and lifting up her concerns, after a few months, she told us that after 1 month, she told us that she was pregnant and she's giving birth in March. So it's really, for those who are dealing with couples, especially young couples, that are still waiting, some are here, still waiting for God's gift now. It will come, because like we are seeing here, this is a life-affirming seminar. So if God wants life to happen, even if there is a, what do you call this, Tita, IUD, we know, we have a former co-missionary in Timor, he was an IUD baby. If God wants life to happen, it will happen. So, to end that on a high note, we will end with our closing prayer to be led by Tito